Looks like we are live. This thing working? Give everybody a second to join here. You guys following me on Twitter? It's a fun time to be on Twitter, that's for sure. I'm tweeting right now while I wait for everybody to show up. Shalom right back at you, buddy. It is an interesting time to be on Twitter, that's for sure. So, it's quite the morning show, wasn't it? Figure we'll chat about that a little bit here. Before we do that, let's jump into the links you have down there below the video. Of course, we are just a couple hours away from our first issue of the new e-magazine Observer Review coming out. Thank you to everyone who has signed up. If you're still needing to sign up, the link to that is down below. Also, the links below that to Mammoth Nation. Appreciate you, W. Decker. Thank you very much. Mammoth Nation, if you are sick of giving money to big corporations, you're sick of giving money to China, and you want to support your, support your neighbors, support the small businesses, support the mom and pops, Mammoth Nation is the place to do that. I fully support it. I'm in the process of completely moving away from Amazon to that, so I suggest you guys do the same if you are of the same mindset as I am. Also, links down there to some other things. Observer Ranch. This will probably be the last time I mention it here on YouTube. It is the last call for everybody who, anybody who wants to invest in Observer Ranch. I appreciate all the interest in that, but indeed, this is going to be the last call as we are shutting down that phase 1 here at the end of the month. And even though we are only a little less than halfway through the month, it's not like you get interested and then invest in something one day, or at least that's not how you should do it. There's back research for you to do. We have lots of information. We need to talk one-on-one about what it's going to look like and everything of that nature. So just to make sure there's enough time, this will be the last call. For those who are interested, use the contact button at observerranch.com and send us an email that way. You also find links to the Earth Disaster playlist and to the Big Burb playlist. We've got another Big Burb video coming out probably in a couple of days. Rocky did it to the highest degree that can be done. We'll put it that way. Everything that I could envision I would want in the Big Burb is now there. And that's pretty darn impressive of Rocky, if I might say so myself. Tech DNA and the Gadget Channel. Is this new? What do you think? It's called a live stream because it's live. I'm here sitting right now talking to you. Gadget. Anyway. Seeing people ask if we almost got fried. Tell me you didn't watch the morning news without telling me you didn't watch the morning news. Anyway, so for those who saw the morning show, we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened about 30 hours ago. The sun unleashed a pretty titanic solar flare on the far side, the side that is not facing Earth, and it's very lucky that it was over there. CME has been clocked at over 3,000 kilometers per second, and that's super flare power right there. There's a very good chance that that was a super flare on the far side of the sun. That active region will be turning towards the Earth in the coming days, so we're going to be having to keep an eye on that. Essentially, if this had been coming at Earth, this would have been almost certainly a scenario where the grids at least shuddered. It's possible that this was the kind of event that would have taken out the global power grids, sent us back to the Stone Age. When something like this happens, there will be no There will be no more power. There will be no more electricity. All the grids will go down. Thousands of transformers will blow. And when that happens, it's likely that a lot of the systems in place to replace them will go down as well. So there will be no replacing them. Just all of a sudden, you're just a couple days away from having no food at the store. There's no water coming from the tap. There's no water purification. You wouldn't want that water coming from the tap. Thank you, Anna Maria. Good to see you. No phone, no internet, no refrigeration, no banks, no gasoline. Gas lines at very high risk of exploding everywhere. And a few days later, everyone's hungry, everyone's thirsty, and the chaos begins. Society begins ripping itself apart, going back to the Stone Age. Even though given enough time and calm, we would be able to muster up and rebuild the grids. Society can't last that long without these critical pieces of infrastructure, and we absolutely would tear everything apart as a species. We'd go all the way back to the beginning. Very, very good thing that that was not aimed at Earth. Anyway, like to answer any questions you guys have. I'll answer whatever you guys ask, but I feel like given what just happened, it might be apropos if they were related to space weather or the solar event that occurred. So put in your super chats now and we'll do our best to answer them. Fire Dog saying, I was just saying, man, where the heck has Ben been lately? Welcome back, brother. Good to see you. What do you mean, welcome back? I've been putting out 1 or 2 videos every single day, Fire Dog. Oh, do you mean like on the live stream? If you meant the live stream, okay, fair enough. Haven't done one of these in a little bit. I'm going to try my hardest not to do what I want to do, which is melt the snowflakes who have been upset at some of these live streams. You guys should see some of the emails I get from absolute snowflake beta POSs. Like, oh, I don't like the way you're doing these live streams. Ego this and pretending to be a playboy that. Shut up. This is my channel. And I was a little sick of just putting on the professional Ben face every morning. Figured I would just relax and be able to be myself with a lot of you guys. But some of you guys don't want to see that. Some of you just want me to be a puppet and play a role. And you got so butthurt and terrible things when I didn't. And I was just me here. To the point where all those people, and if you're watching and you're one of those people who sent me one of those emails, you know who you are. Laura, thank you for kicking off the Teal Pear Party. Appreciate that. If something like that got you in a tizzy, I can't wait to see what happens when the micronova occurs, when the power goes down. Somebody like me is going to eat you when that happens. Yes, there is professional science Ben. And then there's this Ben. Regular me. Anyway, my buddy Ralph is here. I'm alive and well, stayed an extra night. Oh, I remember you were going camping. Yes, we got lucky. No, the halo's not going to hit us. It was directly on the far side of the sun. But as I mentioned yesterday, it continued on this morning, the CME off the far side was so big that it blasted protons out in every direction. There was a weak interplanetary shock that went out in all directions. Really, we are very lucky that this one wasn't aimed at Earth. It's very possible that could have been game over. And if it had been aimed at Earth at 3,000 kilometers per second, it would have got here in just a couple hours. Like, we wouldn't be having this live stream right now. The world would already be over. And in a couple of days, we're going to get a look at that active region as it turns in to face the Earth. So Firedog says, yes, live stream. Good, I caught that. You can't melt this, man. Like to hear that. You've already been through the fire and flames, no moisture left off to burn. Oh, you have already been through the fire and the flames, no moisture. There you go. I like that. That's also part of the reason why I wanted to come here as myself and be a little harsh. Because if you guys can't handle this, you're completely screwed when stuff goes wrong. People are like, oh, you're going to hurt your credibility. Shut up. Because I'm so loved by the scientific community now. Dumbasses. Can you give a guesstimate on the X level of the flare 30 hours ago? No, I can't. Thank you, Ben. I already gave my family permission to eat me if needed. Tricky Vicky, that's funny. No, I can't give a guesstimate of the flare. There were no satellites that were in a position to even guesstimate what that would be. It could have been something like an X40, X50. It could have been something like an X10 that triggered a massive filament release. There's just no way to know. But it was a big one. And again, we're very lucky it didn't come our way. Hi, Ibritter. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Dano, good to see you too. Serious question. Do aliens from outer space origins have dingles? I thought you said it was a serious question. Are they shriveled? Are they hung like donkeys? Are they human sizes? Dano, I'm adding you to the list of people who I have to read your super chat before I just read it out loud. You rabbit hole, ragtag. Guys are ridiculous. I mean, ridiculously funny, but nonetheless. Inara says, huge fan of your channel. Thank you. We need an observer ranch here in Europe. Thank you for taking time from your family to serve this community. Much appreciated. Right now, my kids are punishing our babysitter. Free Top G in the chat, by the way. Those who step in your face but can't take the slap. Exactly, Shibaka Wookie. Everybody gets huge balls behind the keyboard. I had one person tell me that, like, I'm soft. And, like, there's no chance that person would say that to me in person. I don't think that person knows that calling someone soft is an invitation for a fight. It is like a command, fight me. Because I am certain they didn't understand that, I just let it go. Otherwise, I'd be on an airplane. Anyway, John McDonald says, I don't get to hit people. Says who? I see a couple people asking if I'm only going to answer super chats. By the way, when a channel gets above 50,000 subscribers, they cannot keep up with anything but the super chats. That is well known, well understood, and has been the case for years. I have 700,000 subscribers. No, I can't keep up with everything. Have to do it somehow. People who stick their nose up your ash but complain when you fart. Yeah. And you know what? To be honest, I'm kind of glad that those people got rattled. I like knowing who the snowflakes are. I like knowing who's a fascist at heart and just wants me to be who they want me to be. Yeah, I'm real good at following directions. Aren't I, veteran observers? You should do what we both did and challenge your critics to a boxing match. Sadly, most of my critics are like, there would be no victory in that. It'd be like an elephant challenging an ant. Yes, Barbara, I am. Smart ass. Mr. C, thank you for the teal pair. That is greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Is it possible that JFK wanted to warn the public about future solar event and for folks to start to prepare, but Pentagon and CIA didn't want that? I mean, it's possible. I think he was more taken out by him trying to tell us about what was happening with powerful people on the planet and how they were going to use authority and media to begin to control the world, which is sad. Country Fried Zen. To the snowflakes, your mind must be stronger than your feelings. That is an Andrew Tate quote. Thank you, Free Top G. God, Romania sucks so bad, don't they? If you know, you know. Romania. If anybody here is from Romania, you probably know what I'm talking about. Oh, they just suck so bad. I'm sure most of the people are fine. But Dicot, the authorities, people in charge. Patriot Plumber, good to see you. Thank you. Maggie, link doesn't work for the magazine. Well, it's working for a lot of people. Are you copying and pasting? Because that shouldn't work. If it's not, click it. And if that doesn't work, close your browser and try clicking it. We've had a lot of people, it's simply because they haven't closed their browser or reset their browser in a while. So maybe try that. How did they study solar storms in the 1800s? Good question. They could see sunspots back then. Richard Carrington drew the actual sunspot that made the Carrington event flare. That's why it's called the Carrington event. And then they watched the electrical disruptions. They watched the auroras. That was how they studied it back then. Long ago, far away. John D'Amato, thank you for everything, man. 26, had a heart transplant. Have a pacemaker. Anything I can do to protect myself, or am I screwed? The best thing you can do is make sure every other aspect of you is top tier. Don't put any crap in your body at all. Eat an epically good diet. Stay as physically and mentally fit as you possibly can. And use this as well. Look in the mirror. Look yourself in the eyes and know that you're strong. Tell your body, it's just energy. You can handle it. You know what to do with this. You're an electromagnetic machine already. Between your nervous system, your cardiac system, every cellular interaction that matters for bodily processes is mediated by ions. Know it, and it matters. Golden Hawk says, please be yourself. It is real people we have to deal with when shit hits the fan. This is good training in dealing with straight talkers without getting offended. We all need to learn and deal and control emotion. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree anymore. Antonio says, Senor Ben, what do you think of Earth ships to ride out the cold before the super duper micronova would require remodeling after pole flips and south side would no longer be facing south? In theory, yes. After the flip, you might be in a part of the world where you don't need that to face south. But yeah, Earth ships are a good idea. I like them. Oh, Ben, laughter is the best medicine, says Dano. And generally, people are not done in the middle of their cornbread. Here's some care. Dano, you're funny. Troll flakes are out. Keep up the fire. Yeah. Like, honestly, everybody who has a problem with me being me can just go get your booster shot. What if COVID was a test to see how we handle isolation? Well, it's not going to work on the people who never isolated, which is most observers. Those with the eyes to see. Crunchy Celery says, just love this family. Took a week break, family reasons. It was depressing to not be able to be with the SO fam. Well, it is nice to have you back, buddy. And I got bit by the scrolling bug. Terrible at this. But the timing of JFK with the CIA classified book about pole reversal, same time as NORAD officials planning to go underground. I get what you're saying, Ibritter, but, like, that's like asking a question I couldn't possibly answer, Lots of things were going on at that time. It's hard to really peg one thing or another, but I think that JFK was angering the people who really run the world, if I had to guess. Amy, good to see you, and thanks for the teal pair. That makes my heart smile. Ewok Jerky, taking my chances with cast iron cookware. Is it true the sun went dark in 536 AD for 18 months? No, it is not. There was something that some people in part of the world saw. People in other parts of the world didn't see it. It's very possible it was a local atmospheric effect. Hard to really know, because at that time there was lots of people keeping records in lots of different places. Only one group of people really in one part of the world described this thing happening. And so I do know what you're talking about. I also don't know if it was 536 or 526. So don't quote me on that one right now. But essentially, yeah, no, there's some truth to it. Something happened. But as always, this is the internet. And so it is a ridiculous game of telephone, and the facts get mutilated. Can that same sunspot shoot off another flare equivalent in size? Yes, it can, Captain Ron Hayward. And I'm going to be watching it very, very closely, especially since my Blitz tour starts this weekend. And this weekend is when I expect to see that thing cresting over the limb, if not a day or two before. I mean, the chances are diminished once it has had a flare like that. But in 2003, for example, we saw one sunspot group fire off several X10 to X20 solar flares. Just all depends on whether or not it's entering a decay phase or it's still getting more and more complex. My friend says there's nothing to worry about as long as we disconnect things from the grid, we will be fine. Can you please explain why we are screwed regardless of any grid precautions? Well, because your house is like a lightning rod. A house is big enough to have its own measure of induction. Is it going to be worse if you're actually connected to the grid? Yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact that, major things will be able to take induction all on their own, especially if saturated in geomagnetically induced current from all around. Your friend, I'm sorry to say, Mac, I don't mean to be insulting them, but your friend doesn't have any idea what they're talking about. Not to mention that, okay, let's say that did work and like you managed to save a bunch of appliances and stuff in your house, but the rest of the world goes dark. How is that fine? So in reality, no, your friend is wrong. Even using their hypothetical, no, they're still wrong. Ben, you do you. Authenticity. Thank you very much, Cosmic. Flare, not a surprise. The sun seems off lately. Coronal holes, odd too. Just me. I don't know. Feel it coming, though. I don't think the coronal holes are too odd. If you saw the coronal holes during the last sunspot maximum, they were actually a lot freakier. But the sun is starting to get cooking here at Sunspot Maximum, isn't it? Hello, Southern Bama. I had a chance to look into electroculture gardening. Are you asking me if I had a chance to look into it? Yes, I've looked into it. It seems very interesting. Dano, I'm going to read this before I read it out loud. Okay. Dano says, real serious question. During the interview with Bear, that was a good interview I did with Bear, you mentioned applying science and biblical events. On what level do they corroborate? Highly. I mean, from what it says the earth will do to what it says will happen to the population, we're living the book of Revelation. And the parts of Revelation that haven't happened yet, what they say will happen to the sun. The fact that they say, there will be a great fire next time. And what they say will ultimately happen with the people, the culture, society. It's pretty much all heading that direction societally. And from a physics standpoint, what I see happening to the earth and the sun as things progress in this way, I would have to be disingenuous to not admit that from a mathematical and statistical perspective, what's happening and what I expect to happen from a natural physics science perspective isn't exactly what's described in the book of Revelation. Hybrider, have you wondered if God wrote Revelation in the Mazaroth, Hebrew for constellations? No, I have not wondered that. Interesting question, though. I don't even know how I would go about doing that. Pentagon CIA mothership PSYOP? Johnny, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway. Quick breather. That was a lot of rapid fire questions. Look at all the questions you guys are asking there, like I'm going to answer that. I'll say it again. It's not being stuck up. It's not being anything other than it is impossible for a channel even about 10% of this size. Like if you took away 90% of the subscribers, there's no way I could follow anything but the super chats. And of course, we didn't just take away 90% of my subscribers. I'm sorry, guys. I do from the bottom of my heart wish I could answer every single thing on there. It's just not possible. Hoverland says, how many days before that spot is Earth facing? 3 to 5, probably, if I had to guess. We don't have a satellite that looks over there, so I don't know. The Rabbit Hole says, I take a drink every time you say CME, Nova, Playlist, Cyclical, Magnetism, and Dansgaard Oshker. Even when you stop talking, I still take a drink. That's nice, Rabbit Hole. How wasted are you by the end of these shows? Science in the Bible. Chuck Missler, The Bible in 24 Hours, reminding you to check it out, but I mean in all that spare time. Yeah. Be nice. If you believe in the 12,000-year cycles and the science behind everything, what makes you also believe in humanity, seeing as the religion is only 2,000 years old? Well, you mean apart from everything I just said? That as a man of science, math, as a man of statistics, I have to look at every single way that they line up and be like, there's no way that's a coincidence? What I don't believe about Christianity is the notion that the earth is 6,000 years old. That I do not believe. I also do not believe that this realm we are in right now is a random happenstance, the conclusion of chaos and gravity and collisions over billions of years. No. I have studied subparticle physics. I have studied cosmological physics. The patterns and beauty that I have seen are indicative of design, of a great engineer. So is the 12,000-year cycle. When I was 20, I was agnostic, moving towards atheism. And then I became who I am now. And from nothing but science, I have no choice now but to believe that there is a God. I've had lots of people challenge me on that one. And the spanking I give those people is epic. Annie Gunderson, thank you for the teal pair. Love it. Love it. Theron Witten, Ben, first of all, I really am thankful for your dedication to science on this. It's very hard to remain impartial under pressure. I respect you for that. Keep being you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. I'm certainly not going to be giving in to the snowflakes who are offended that I'm not stiff professional Ben in these live streams. How dare I be myself? How dare I put my pristine reputation in jeopardy with the scientific community? Morons. Commercial. Amy Lai, thank you very much. Or Lay. You got to tell me how to pronounce your last name. You're here enough that I should know. And no, just because my wife is Vietnamese doesn't mean I automatically know how to pronounce that. Free Top G in the chat. As the geomagnetic field fails, can it cause thermometers to no longer work properly? That's an interesting question. Temps feel different. Thermometers were regulated using platinum resistance thermometers, which measure electrical resistance in the 50s. Yeah, so a lot of them are more digital. Atmospheric electricity is certainly changing. I would believe, like, I don't have direct evidence to affirm or deny what you've said, but it would not shock me at all to learn that thermometers were a bit off because of everything that's happening. And again, it wouldn't be a direct result of the magnetism changing. It would be magnetism changing, allowing an electrical change here in the atmosphere. But I kind of think that you alluded to that, if I may presume to understand what you're saying, my friend, because you specifically mentioned the electrical resistance. So I kind of think that you were going for anyway. But yeah, even though it's indirect, my answer would probably be, yeah, I believe that. Gary says, isn't it true that hours into the Carrington event, they tried to unplug the telegraph stations? It did not help. Some stations still caught on fire. Not only did they catch on fire, the telegraph operators were getting electrocuted. They were getting shocked. The wires still caught on fire. Yeah, it didn't help. Unplugging in the Carrington event didn't help. It's going to help this time either. Angela, thank you for the teal pear. I feel my saltiness diminishing. The teal pear is Ben's desalinization. Shibaka, what are your thoughts on the Dogons and their traditional dance? I don't know much about them. I know enough about them to know that they knew about a star that was up there that they shouldn't have known was there because we can't see it with our eyes, and they didn't have like telescope technology. Other than that, I have to plead ignorance. I don't know that much about the Dogon tribe. Respect, though, for that which it is. Another quick breather. Who's watching what they eat? Any of you guys quitting porn? Ladies, are you watching porn? I hope not. Anybody going to the gym? What day was it for you today? It was back and buys day for me. Put that in the chat. Either free top G or whatever you're doing to be the best version of yourself. Put that in the chat. These live chat sessions really show you how many ignorant SOBs there are in the world. I wonder how long they will last without power. About 5 seconds. And that's very funny. Thank you, Mr. C. Dano says, so due to the sun not toasting us in the past 24 hours of existence, will you pretty please sing Staying Alive? No. It's funny, though. Joe Rogan was talking about solar storms and coronal mass ejections from the sun. A few papers, not too deep, many observers in the comments. Anytime Joe Rogan gets anywhere near the sun or catastrophism, I definitely expect the observers to be showing up and screaming at him for not doing what he should do. Scott says, you and Graham Hancock should have a beer. Let's see. Do I go back into the Graham Hancock thing now, or do I just let that go? Do I go back into the Graham Hancock thing now, or do I just let it go? Do I go back? I want to let it go. Suntier, thank you for the desalinating teal pear. Appreciate that. That really helps me get over that Graham Hancock question. T. Cole, hey, buddy, what's going on? What's up, Ben? Just showing love, no questions. I've seen the wink right back at you, buddy. Rabbit Hole says, shark comes to the nearest man. That man, he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes that shark go away. Sometimes he wouldn't go away. Okay. I'll keep that in mind if I ever get attacked by a shark. Hi, Ben. Do you think the Miyake events, first of all, don't call them that. They're super flares. I don't know why they invented a new name for them. It's a stupid name. These are called super flares. They've been called super flares for decades. Do not call these Miyake events. That's not what they are. That's not a thing. It's like liberals making up pronouns. You can't just use your feelings to make up. Never mind. Do I think that these super flare events are related to the changing galactic current sheet or just some random event? Solar CME is not a primary source. I don't think that they're necessarily related to the current sheet. We know that the current sheet's more of like a 12,000-year cycle, but there are super flares on the 6,000-year cycle, on the 3,000 years, on the 1,500 years, and about every 150 to 200 years. I think it's just something the sun does, to be perfectly honest with you. And given the fact that on the 12,000-year cycle, it's not a super flare, but a micronova, I might have to further what I just said there and they're called super flares. Bomberry, thank you. Appreciate you. Good to see you. I missed one there. Oh, it's a teal pair from Denise, the Patriot. And I almost missed that because I suck at scrolling. Thank you for the teal pair. I feel myself desalinating from the Mayaki events. Gabby, thank you for the teal pair. We're now freshening up quite nicely here. Shibaka, Parat see the same electromagnetism in their costume. Oh, yeah. Anthony Parat did talk about them, didn't he? Yeah. Boy, he'd be a good guy to ask about that. That's for sure. Ralph, hello. I'm ready to be schooled with this question. I've noticed the GOES electron flux has been in the red the past week or more on the app. Could that have been an indication of the super flare coming? No, that happens in the wake of all coronal hole streams. You might remember a couple of days ago, we were in the coronal hole stream and then it sort of waned back. Every single time we get hit by a coronal hole stream, it is followed by high-level electrons. In big CMEs, they come with the CMEs, but that's essentially what we're looking at there. What could happen to nuclear devices and other munitions from wiring from one of these events? They could be destroyed. Off nukes. It could destroy them. It could destroy their circuitry and their wiring. But anybody who knows how a nuclear bomb is actually primed, armed, and triggered, it takes a little more than just, hitting it with a stun gun. Put it that way. That's not something we have to worry about. And yes, I was worried at one point, so I looked into it. Doc Dizzy says, when talking about everything is made by design, a great example is the Feigenbaum constants and the bifurcation theory in mathematics. I'm going to have to take your word on that one. Gravity is still unexplained. Is consciousness the variable needed to fully explain the existence of gravity? I don't think so. I think you can probably do it with a proper understanding of electric fields. Electric fields and half of magnetism. The other half of magnetism is repulsion. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you. Drunken Ramblings with Aaron. Now that's a username. I always enjoyed writing, but you inspired me to write a novel. It's a story about a man trying to get to his family after a CME hits us, called When the Lights Went Out. Thanks for the inspiration. No, thanks for that good feeling I have inside due to your comment, buddy. Appreciate that very much. That's hard to do to me. He's gone under. He's gone. Oh, Rabbit Hole, are you posting lyrics to something? He's gone under. He's gone under the boat. I think he's gone under the boat. Yeah, too easy. He can't stay down with 3 barrels on him, not with 3. Or like a poem or something. I don't know this song. Senor Ben, have you considered having a chat with Russell Brand? Yeah, I've reached out to him a couple times. He doesn't seem interested. And when are you swinging by Austin? We are not all soy boys down here. That's good to hear. I was born in Austin. I don't know if anybody knows that. Yeah, I was born in Austin, Texas. I hear it is not what it once was. Might be a while before I get back to Austin. If that was Earth facing, how long to get to Earth? Just a couple hours. And then the fun would begin. Put it this way, we wouldn't be doing the show. I wouldn't have even done this morning's news. It would have been very lucky if I had gotten yesterday's morning show out in time. It's possible yesterday's morning show wouldn't have even happened. Brian Simpson, after what I said a couple minutes ago, did you just call them Mayaki events again? Mayaki events is a made-up name, like Z-Zer pronouns. Mayaki is just a dumb new word for super flares. That's all it is. Yes, there are evidence of these in tree rings. There absolutely is. But they just made up a new name for them. Why the sun will turn dark before the mini nova? Well, where's the shell going to come from? When the galactic magnetic reversal within the current sheet happens, that magnetic reversal impact on the sun will disrupt electrical activity on its surface. That will not only put a halting to the solar wind output, but it will vastly diminish the luminosity. While its luminosity is being diminished, the lack of solar wind output will allow for that plasma to cool and condense and allow for dust and other gases and material to accumulate in the corona. But then once that galactic shift point passes and the sun kicks back into gear, all of a sudden it's like holding a firecracker in your hand and the sun blasts off that shell. It's physics. That's also in the playlist, by the way. My workout and my peace is working in my food forest. Right on. Cold spring, but greenhouse is going strong. Keep going, buddy. Keep going. Me too, Sean. Except I don't drink, but I know what you're saying. Jack Holmes, that's how you get blocked. Clown. Human Taurus, good to see you. Thank you. Rabbit Hole says Mayaki events. What is that? A new sushi dish? I would be okay with if they named a new sushi dish Mayaki events. Just don't change the name Super Flares. Clowns. A legal question. Can I get sued for a legal question? Can I get sued for probing a gray alien? I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with no. KLNZD, thank you. Good to see you. Denise, thank you for another teal pair. You are greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. By the way, did I mention how pissed off I am at Romania? Romania, you're the new Denver. Romania is the new Denver. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. Free Top G, indeed. Chillin asked me why I'm so bent. Are you reading? John, no kidding. I hope Tristan's appeal goes better. Paul Martins, Romania is doing to 2 innocent men what our government is doing to the January 6th prisoners. Oh, and here's the other thing. Anybody who thinks that that was a real insurrection and that those January 6th people belong in jail, you can just hit the X button right up there. I know Kat's going to yell at me, Ben, you should be more inclusive. No. I will deal with that here in the house. The answer is no. Putting my foot down. Van says, I've been here since 2012. Love your work or so. How did you get started? I like that question. So, I have degrees in economics, in science, and I have a law degree. I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer. Max, thank you. So what do you do when you have degrees in law, economics, and in science? You go into research. For who? Due diligence. Rich people, make them richer. But eventually, even though they were actually really nice folks, they really, really were. I have nothing against them. I did get sick of making rich people richer, and I realized that, man, I'm really good at figuring this stuff out. You know, they would spend $500,000 on the 4 best experts on something in the world. They'd all come back and say something different. My boss comes to me like, which one should we listen to? I'm like, what do you mean? Ask the experts. Turns out I was really good at that. It helps that I have hyperthymesia and that I'm a speed reader and I'm not a moron. And I just one day decided, hey, why don't I use my speed reading, my hyperthymesia, and my aptitude for all these different things to research what I want to research? And the channel was born. That's my short answer. Alexander says, you have Canada as a no-go zone because it's too cold. What if we are already managing off-grid? I did say that in that video, that if you happen to be one of those folks in Canada who is just hard as a coffin nail, and I know there's a lot of you out there, you're already off-grid. You already know how to do it. You got a shot? Yeah, absolutely. Just watch for the slosh back from the Hudson Bay in the Arctic. You will want to look out for that. Nikki, thank you for the teal pair. I appreciate that. In the dispersion says, you're doing great work, brother. Thank you. No, thank you. It's good to see you here. Appreciate some positivity. Spent the better first part of the show melting snowflakes. Is the parasitic governments racing toward the bottom because they don't want to let the sun get the credit for crashing civilization? That, and they want to hurt us in all the ways possible before then so that we are less apt and able to be a part of the next stage, which they want to control. Stuart, new here, came over from Bear Independent. Good to see you. Appreciate your efforts. Some of the comments here are hilarious, aren't they, though? Learning a lot. Keep up the good work. Some of the comments are hilarious. They really are. Some are fantastic, though. Alexander, thank you very much. Jens, awesome to see you. Denise again, hello. January 6th was part of the corrupt, evil game. Yes, it was. The moral of the story of January 6th is if the Capitol Police offer you a free guided tour, just say no. Randy Crew, good to see you. Thank you. Ben, love the science. Can you talk about the way humans on surface of Earth in 7.82 megahertz energies are affected by the ionosphere? Elevated energies, say 12 megahertz, are trying to find a balance. That's one that I haven't dug deep into mathematically. Here's what I can say. Stuff like 5G, it's not great for you. It's also not going to kill everybody in the world. If you look back at some of the huge real pandemics that happened in the past, a lot of them actually match up to when we released new RF technologies. But it was always the kind of thing where some people, it's like a peanut allergy. And most of the people, it's like eating peanuts. When these things come out, when these energies change, they will be tremendously impactful on some people. They will be decimating on some people. Some people will have minimalized effects. But the human body is pretty amazing. And provided your diet isn't crap, you're physically and mentally healthy, and you've got a good positive mindset, I think that it's something we can adapt to. We've done it before. There's nothing happening now that didn't happen before. I have faith in us. Rabbit Hole says, Ben, the January 6th event was worse than the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I was literally shaking. P.S. I was yelling at the TV to burn it. Tell us how you really feel, Rabbit Hole. Late for the live stream. Hope you've been salty. Looking forward to the newsletter. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Smaller lakes, just off the cuff. What's a safe distance back or above to avoid the slosh back? Well, I guess it would depend on how big the lake is, my friend, and how deep the lake is, my friend. And what is your surrounding area like, my friend? Are you on a cliff overlooking the lake? Or is it in like a relatively flat area? Are you directly north versus south, or are you east and west? All of those questions matter. The Three Barrels comment earlier by Rabbit Hole was from Jaws, the movie. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Oh, it was quoting a movie. That makes sense. Shannon, thank you for the teal pair. I swear to God, I don't know why that thing makes me feel better. At this point, I've just like placeboed myself into loving the teal pair, and it just has a positive effect on me. Hint, hint. You guys can do that for yourselves too. In the last climate joke video, you talked about 6,000-year Heinrich cycles. I thought the Heinrich cycle is 12,000 years. Where am I wrong? The Heinrich cycle is 6,000 years. The magnetic excursion cycle is 12,000 years. Yeah. Heinrich event 6,000 years ago, more properly called the tropical hydroclimate event. There was one 12,000 years ago, 18,000 years ago, 24,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, 36,000 years ago. Just like there's a Dansgaard-Oeschger cycle every 1,500 years. 4 of those, up to 6,000, you get a Heinrich event. 2 Heinrich cycles, you get a geomagnetic excursion. Although we have seen evidence that there are more minor geomagnetic excursions on the 6,000-year cycle as well. That was a mouthful. Would be great to see you and Tony Heller discuss climate lunacy and lying by the feds. It would be, but the problem is Tony Heller doesn't think the magnetic changes on Earth are any kind of a problem. Tony Heller doesn't think the sun has anything to do with climate changes whatsoever. While I agree with Tony Heller about how they've been screwing with the temperatures and the fact that modern climate change is not what they say it is. The problem is they have repeatedly come back with explanations for this, explanations for why they adjusted the data. And while I don't think there's merit to them, they made these cases in such a way that, I mean, when you see what the public believes in terms of BS, the way they did these, the way they explained away what Tony shows, let's give them some credit. It's not bad. And everyone's going to fall for that. I prefer to just play devil's advocate against myself. Let them cheat. Let them have their cake and then stomp them out anyway. It's much more impressive. But I'm a fan of Tony Heller. He is not a fan of us or the things we talk about, unfortunately. Lord D. That's a heck of a name. Kat's texting me. She knows I'm in the middle of a live stream right now. She's messing with me. Just 2 things. Thank you for fighting for the truth of what is happening. And I'm trying to talk to people daily about this. I have woke many up. I know. Thank you for helping others with the truth. Stay salty. I will. Thank you. Teal pairs save your sanity from answering the same question thousands of times. Yes, they do. If we get a break in the super chats, I'm going to text Kat back. Watchdog, thank you for the teal pair. Nettie, I watch but keep opinions to myself. Haven't heard anything about survival in the Adirondack Mountains. I probably haven't said anything about survival in the Adirondack Mountains. It might not be possible to survive in the Adirondack Mountains. You are a true messenger, my friend, and may the divine supercharge the chakras for you and all your viewers. Same to you, buddy. We are people who are in awe and humbled by creation. We are free. The sun is the father energy. He's angry. God bless. Let's hope he doesn't get too angry too quickly. All right, so I will do it when I am done with the live stream, comma. Everybody is watching me voice text this to you right now. She's going to be all embarrassed. Oh, free Top G in the chat. Or Romania is the new Denver, whichever one you want. To the person who was trying to ask Rabbit Hole why he thought January 6th was bad, I think he meant bad for freedom, bad for us, not that it was an actual insurrection. And in that regard, it was terrible. RoboCat, thank you for the teal pair. Much appreciated. Need that right now. Needed it. Did she just text me back? Keith, are solar cosmic particles the actual V we've been exposed to and many of us V'd against? Well, first of all, nobody was vaccinated against cosmic particles. We were subject to a bioweapons attack. It is absolutely true that the weakening magnetic field should be mutating viruses, that it should be decreasing our immune system. I would be remiss not to acknowledge the fact that there are exceptionally non-natural aspects to the COVID virus. Don't forget, I put a cationic steroidal antimicrobial that mimics the human antimicrobial peptide, LL37, a part of the innate immune system, through the FDA processes. I know a lot about what these microbes look like. Doesn't matter if it's virus, gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, staph, MRSA, Pseudomonas. I know what these things are supposed to look like. And the people who are talking about it has signals of being engineered. COVID definitely does have signals of being engineered. I will confirm that 100%. So like I said, this cosmic energy with a weakening magnetic field didn't help our immune systems. I don't think it mutated COVID. I don't think it was the cause of all of these things. It's just compounding problems for the biosphere here on the planet. PJ Graham says, think of me as an overripe teal pear who was just here. Geomagnetic papers on olivine lately. Yeah, there are. Thanks for everything. The Matrix sucks. Happy to be part of the SOs. We are happy to have you. Do you follow Corey Good and David Wilcock? No. Is it a coincidence that all you're speaking similar truths? Well, David watches this channel. I don't know anything about Corey Good, but David watches us. And if you look at what David was talking about in 2013 and 2012 and 2011, it's not really what he was talking about. But you can find when he started talking about things like this. Not long after he and I met in 2015 at the, what was that called? Something Consciousness Expo. I don't remember what it was, but it was 2015. It was in Los Angeles. It was the panel they said will never be repeated. George Norrie was moderating. It was me, Wilcock, Greg Braden, Nassim. Somebody else was there. I can't remember at the moment, but they were like, this panel will never happen again. And it hasn't. It was quite a good one. And ever since then, he's been talking about different things. We have 4 rocky planets, 3 with electric scars, 1 with tectonic plates. Could ours be the Atlantic Ridge? Could arc discharge break our crust to that extent? Yeah, it could. Absolutely could. Juby, for crying out loud, Kat may be in dire straits. Hope not. And I mean, I read the text. I mean, it's not like I just ignored her. No, your pear is not teal, Juby. That's light green. I'm sure it's delicious, though. I have to go, but stay salty, Ben. Denise, we'll miss you. It's always good to see you. You got a Pure Blood t-shirt? That's awesome. I didn't put the link to the new store down below, but there is absolutely awesome merchandise in the new store. Go to the morning news show. Click the link to the new store down below. It is on point. We'll put it that way. Bobby Tectalibus, good to see you. He says, thank you. Thank you. Why are they building caves and shelters on mountain? And are these caves going to protect them from what's coming? Building them into a mountain is better than just building them into the plains, put it that way. There's no way to guarantee that, you know, building deep ones are going to survive. I think you just need to go a little bit underground. Take a look at all the cultures who survived in those sort of underground shelters. None of them are like a mile under the ground. They're just under the surface. That's all that's needed. Liz Sapp, hello, lady. On the NOAA website under Space Weather Enthusiasts, what is the graph that flatlines at the bottom of the page? Micronova, see you at SC Meetup. By the way, my hubby is finally on board with my conspiracy theory micronova. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about on that one. The Space Weather Enthusiast page. Don't make me go look this up, Liz. Go make me look this up. Space Weather Enthusiast. It's telling me the page cannot be found at this time, but maybe I'll check later. Send me an email or something, and I will see you in South Carolina. You like the haircut? Thank you. Great clips. There is a Denver Romanian church up there in that Highland Mecca above you, right in the belly of the beast. Hope they are preaching truth to power up there. Ugh. Ugh. Denver. Happy Pi Day right back at you, Red. Are we sure what causes the 90-degree shift? Yes. If it's the mass of Greenland, what could cause it to shift back in the next cataclysm? Greenland comes like this. Then for 12,000 years, ice accumulates at the polar region, and then it tilts us. The accumulation of ice. Because when it comes to here, there's rise and fall of the land masses, and it finds an equilibrium. But then over 12,000 years, that equilibrium gets disrupted by the ice at the poles. Now, it doesn't tilt automatically because the melting of the crust mantle boundary, the asthenosphere, the low velocity zone rehardens and locks the crust in place. But when it gets unlocked again, there's that ice at the north and south poles to tilt us 90 degrees again. This is also in the playlist. We are 1 hour into the live stream. Oh, I love you guys, but you guys are exhausting. Renee. Good to see you. Thank you. Idea for new t-shirt. You with the Matrix glasses. You know, I actually had a pair of those a while back. I had a buddy who started a sunglasses company when we were in college. Instead of like the regular sunglasses, instead of just like the bridge on the nose, it was an actual like clip, and you would like push it and then clip it onto your nose. It was slightly uncomfortable, but it looked so cool. They have long since broken. Dano again. What are we going to do if we have a frequency from the sun that sets off Yellowstone? Do you have actual plans? Thanks for all you ponder. Not going to happen. It's not frequencies that set off volcanoes. It is cosmic rays impacting silica-rich magma. But either way, Yellowstone, even if there's a major surge from below, it will just effusively erupt like the Hawaiian volcanoes do. It doesn't have any way to build up pressure. It can't explosively erupt, at least not for several thousand years. And there would have to be some very serious ground changes in the area to do that. It just releases too much energy via quakes, via geothermals, via geysers. It's broken. It doesn't have a way to do the scary Yellowstone eruption. By the way, I do know Mary Greeley has been scaring people with that again. She's been scaring people with Yellowstone for over a decade and doesn't know what she's talking about. She also does things like during the seasonal animal migrations, because you know animals migrate summer to winter. She will say, the animals are fleeing Yellowstone, or they're migrating. Everything that she uses to scare people is other than that, which would be the earthquake swarms, the geothermal releases, is exactly the thing you use to know it's not the explosive eruption threat. God bless you, Mary. Wish you the best. But you don't know what you're doing. Ben A says, hi, Ben. Would there be a nice name, dude? Would there be a chance for standing room in the back at Sold Out San Jose show on 319? Love to hear your talk. I'm good on the lunch. You'd have to ask Kat that. You would have to ask Kat. I don't know. I mean, like if anybody happens to have like canceled their tickets, I wouldn't know that. Kat would. So you might have to email her about that one. Rabbit hole again. We have oceanographic and geologic evidence. Those near Atlantis 12,000 years ago saw the Atlantic Ridge Mountains crack and rise into the air, awe and terror. Yeah. And as they rose, much of Atlantis fell, didn't it? James Fisher says, if that CME happened yesterday, hit Earth, would houses burn due to the wiring? Very possible. Very possible. It is also possible that its magnetism was of the right angle to be deflected more than anything. If its magnetism was another way, and this is what we talk about when we talk about the BY of the interplanetary magnetic field coming with the CME. Absolutely. If it had been worst case scenario, houses could have burned down. Pacemakers could have stopped, etc. Appreciate the little break from super chats here, giving me a chance to, decompress to some degree. Somebody else texting me. They're banning my link I'm trying to paste. I'm sorry about that, Keith. Good luck. That sucks. I am on a live stream right now, using talk to text, and thousands of people are watching me do this. Laughing in the comment section. Red, thank you for the teal pair. Appreciate it. Free Top G in the chat. Or Romania is the new Denver, one of those two. Dragon, thank you for the teal pair. Love it. Love it. Juby Joe, you're very welcome for sharing how to use Siri, although I will say, Siri sucks sometimes. Sometimes she has no idea what she's doing. All right, it's not a super chat, but I'll answer it anyway. The question was, do I garden? I garden my whole life. You should have seen it in Albuquerque. We don't have a lot of space here in Colorado Springs, but I am planning to kick it back up at Observer Ranch when we get the chance. First super chat, you opened my eyes about fall of 2018. Been watching since, planning to move your way as soon as I can get that figured out. So are a lot of people. I will mention it again right now. Because even though we have technically 17 days until phase 1 of the investing in Observer Ranch closes, it's not the kind of thing I could, from my bottom of my heart, I can't recommend you guys make this decision on a whim. If you're like, oh, well, we still have 17 days left until the end of phase 1. No, take the time. Let me give you the information now. Read it. Think about it. Make an educated decision for yourself. Talk to advisors if you have to. Get a one-on-one call with me to actually talk about the opportunity. 17 days until the phase 1 investment in Observer Ranch ends. And as if it wasn't already the kind of thing that this was going to be a hit no matter what, we got a feasibility study done, those who know what that is. And even without giving us credit for all the people that will come based on, kind of got a following on the internet, they still said it was feasible. Appreciated that. But yeah, if that is you, don't wait. Don't wait. Phase 1 is closing. Observer Ranch link down below in the link list in the description box below the video. Contact us through observerranch.com. Oh, Fire Dog. That was a fire comment. Yes, he gardens. He pulls up daisies every live chat. And I'll put snowflakes under. Been following you since 2012. Thanks for everything. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. D Fresh 750. Thank you for the teal pair. We're loving that. All right, I'm going to answer a question that's not a super chat. Thomas says we need to flare the sun when it's facing towards China. Bad news, it's not going to matter. These are globally induced currents. They make a ring all the way around the world. So no, that's not going to work. Hello again, Ralph. I'm sorry, Ben. I know you've been talking about AI being bad, but you sounded like a robot talking to text. The phone is training you to be like AI. No, I just know how to not make Siri screw up what I'm trying to say. Because if given any opportunity, Siri will screw it up. She will. She doesn't behave. She's a modern woman. I have natural gas in my house. She's not traditional. I also live 15 miles from the Gulf Coast. I'm screwed all around. 15 miles is probably a little close to live to the Gulf Coast for when the world flips over. Yes. Timothy says, Ben, have you seen the Nicolas Cage movie Knowing? You guys can start laughing in the chat now. And if you have, what do you think about that scenario being plausible? No. No. The ultraviolet energy will burn the sun-facing side of the Earth when the micronova occurs. But it's not going to be like Knowing. Absolutely not. That's the end of life, all life on Earth. And this happens every 12,000 years. We're still here. Ben, have you seen Knowing, the Nicolas Cage movie? Father, have you heard of Jesus? Can I tell you about this cool dude named Noah and this other guy named Moses? I'm sure you haven't heard of them, but they're cool. Promise. Rabbit Hole says grow potatoes, carrots, onions, garlic, tomatoes, cabbage, peppers, etc. Raise chickens, sheep, goats, cows, and mammoth donkeys. I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that coming. But I didn't. I was dancing. Fire Dog, I use text to cattle all the time. Do you mean text to works like a chasm? I mean charm. Larva. Oh, I get it. He's making fun of it. I use text to cattle all the time. Works like a chasm. Larva this technology. That's creative, dude. That's pretty creative. Your brain must work. Yes, go Jesus, says RoboCat. I second that. Go Jesus. Go Jesus. Free Top G. Romania is the new Denver. Many streams. You are low def. Why not on my end? Blurred. I don't know. It happens. Hi, Ben. Question may already be asked. Space Weather News channel that popped up. Is this you? And second question, second Valley of the Sun in eastern Utah array. Michael, I have no idea what you're talking about in terms of a Space Weather News channel popped up. And no, it's not me. This is my channel. Lots of parts of Utah are good. Lots of parts of Utah are good. Absolutely. I don't specifically know the area you're talking about. But hey, Ben, hi from 12 feet under sea level Amsterdam. Oof. Oof. Hello to you. God bless. Shady trees, they glow in the dark. Turn off all the lights. I wore my pendant all day. Just got out of the shower, though. It's not on right now. Do I think the government will give us a heads up? Shit is about to hit the fan. Nope. But I will do my best, I promise. I'll tell you what. If you are going to talk about the Doobie Brothers, you better get your facts right, or Trevor98 is going to smoke you in the chat. You guys watching this? Jesus. Jeff M. Following SO over 10 years, I think. It's possible. A daily staple in truth and honesty. Thank You. The globalist scaremongering mob are dumbfounded by the info you lay out. I would agree with that, except they know it already and they're just lying about it. And yes, Rabbit Hole Roos is going to need a bigger boat. Wouldn't people in caves be drowned from floodwaters? Not if they're high up enough in the mountains, where the waves won't arrive. There are also air pockets in high parts of caves where the water can't reach because of the air pressure. But yes, low-lying caves will flood. Absolutely. Taking a quick breather. Oh. You guys are being fun today. I think we smoked out all the snowflakes. That's a positive. That's a positive. Somebody just asked if I'm related to Martin Sheen, which would also be like asking if I'm related to Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez. You guys know Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are brothers? Anybody see their movie Garbage Men from like a billion years ago? That movie was so funny. Blissfully Layla, thank you for the teal pair. I appreciate that. Greatly appreciate it. I'm just going to presume all of these yeses are about Garbage Men or Trash Men or whatever that movie was called. Men at Work. That's what it was called. Men at Work. That's what it was called. It was like that whole movie was just outrageous. Then you are totally right about Mary. Fear-mongering, fake clicking. I don't believe in it. What I do believe in is the truth. Thank you for telling the truth. You are totally awesome. Thank you, Rose Bliss. I did say my bit about Mary Greeley. I don't want to sit here and bag on more. I am a little sick of hearing her say the same things over and over and over again for a decade. We are telling our age, Van, aren't we? Real talk, molecular frequency distortion and manipulation combined with Stockholm syndrome under the guise of psychotropic drugs. Thoughts? I mean, I'm not taking any psychotropic drugs, but seems like it's something that would be bad for people, buddy. Carl Baker says, is the global seed vault protected enough to survive? Which one? They got a bunch of them now. Anyway, for those who are just joining, the initial idea was to talk about that solar event that went off the other side of the sun, but was clocked at 3,000 kilometers per second, which if something like that hit the Earth, that's super flare power. We might not be having this discussion. Earth might be on its way back to the Stone Age with an estimated approximately 6 to 7 billion dead. Very lucky that one went off the other side of the sun. Of course, things have digressed since then, haven't they? Hi, Ben. I live in the Canadian Arctic. Could you go over what to expect again, please? Thank you, sir. What to expect? It's an expansive question. At some point, Earth's weakening magnetic field will weaken so much that the planet will not be able to sustain even a moderate disruption in the solar wind. When that occurs, the grids will go down and there will be no more power. As the sun continually ramps up towards the micronova and as Earth's magnetic field continues to weaken, cosmic radiation will bombard the planet more and more and more and more. At some point, the sun will enter, the solar system will enter the point where the galactic magnetic reversal occurs. The sun will go dark for 3 days, followed by a solar micronova, and then the planet will go like this. That's what's going to happen. How are we preparing for big quakes? Been in several 7.5s. Can't imagine being underground or in a cave when the 9s hit. Are you expecting them in the regular plate fault line areas only? I am expecting a global quake. Some areas it'll feel like a 9 or a 10. Some areas might not feel more than a 6 or a 7. And while the fault lines that exist now will get it worse than everywhere else, that's not to say that there won't be some areas where they don't take it really badly that aren't normally traditionally active fault lines, especially where there is mantle heaving. If you have questions on mantle heaving, look in the playlist. All right, back to it. Oh, I didn't miss any super chats. How about that? How about that? Is Mercury's interactions with the sun causing more flares and the big one on the backside of the sun? Mercury's not causing any more flares than it normally does. This has a lot more to do with we're at sunspot maximum right now. This is to be expected. If this Earth's a rockin', don't come a knockin', aliens. Unless they're here to take out the World Economic Forum, in which case, please, we welcome you. And we will take you to our leaders. Hope you're hungry. Caleb says, how far off am I when I explain the galactic current sheet as a field of static electricity traveling through the galaxy collecting dust? It's not the worst way to describe it. I've heard way worse ways of describing it. If it was just a field of static electricity, there wouldn't be a magnetic reversal point in the middle of it. But then we're talking, we're talking about, some pretty high level physics there. So anyway, no big deal. That's not a bad way to do it. After the micronova, hot air balloon or submarine? Neither. Cave high up in the mountains. Just arrived home from work. What do you think about the area northwest of Raton, New Mexico, near highway? I have no idea where that is, Susie. I want to move and start SO 2.0. I mean, I know generally where Raton is, but I don't know the area very well. I would literally have to, study it and look into it more deeply before I ever even imagine making a comment on something like that. It's good to see you, though, Susie. Anyway, guys, no more super chats except for that teal pair, Amy. Thank you very much. We're going to call it here. We've been on for over 80 minutes. This was fun. We answered a lot of questions. Not all of them are our way of life 30 hours ago, but it sure was fun. It sure was fun. Be sure to check the links below the video. Our new e-magazine, Mammoth Nation. Support the little guy. Support the little guy, not the big corporations. Do that at the Mammoth Nation links down below. It's important to support the little guys. And again, even though phase 1 investing for Observer Ranch doesn't end for 17 days, I can't recommend anybody get into something like this on like a 1 day's notice. If you are interested, this is last call. Go down to observerranch.com, contact us through there. Plenty of other links and other things like that in the descriptions of the playlists, websites, other things like that. Follow me on Twitter. Link is also down below. But anyway, guys, it's been real, and I will see you in the morning for the daily show. Be safe, everyone.